Guys, it's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're here for UFC Uruguay from Montevideo in Uruguay, obviously, as the UFC make their first trip there, which is always nice. It's nice to see the UFC still going into new territories, and especially down in America, South America, where there's still a lot of places they haven't been, and they're still cultivating the talent from there. So, yeah, pretty much overall, I think this is a pretty decent card. I like some of the matches that they've made up in this fight card, to be honest with you. The fight card's a little bit all over the place, the bout order, because there was a lot of people kind of fell out last week and got taken back in. So yeah, I've literally tried 4 times today to make this video. My laptop's been a dick, so it looks like I'm gonna have to get a new webcam. So I'm on my phone here. Hopefully that's okay for you guys. If you can like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to go over 100 likes in this video. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, just because I'm one of those guys, once I see a number on site, I like to try and track it down. So if you can, that'd be much appreciated. Hopefully the chat's going. If it's not, I really apologise. Like I say, I'm still new to doing this on my phone, so hopefully this is going to be okay for you guys. Coming off last week, UFC Newark, really solid card for me. I didn't feel comfortable with the bets I put on, but I won all my bets. I went 11-1 on the card. My only loss was Mara Romero Barella. So a really good, solid fight card. Really happy with it. And looking to hopefully kind of keep it going this week here. Like I say, a really solid fight card, I think, for matchups. Good matchmaking. I'm interested to see how it's going to go down. So, we're going to get started. Like I say, the bout order's all over the place, so I'm going to start from what I see right here on Wikipedia. So, Alexei Kunchenko is facing off against Gilbert Burns. Interested to see Gilbert Burns at 170. He came out 2 weeks ago, said that he was going to move up to 170, which was a little bit surprising. But to be fair, he had doctors pulling from fights before because so I'll move this over a little bit, because he had weight issues and so on, and he said he didn't want to cut the weight anymore, which is absolutely fair enough. But what's interesting is the fact that he's moving up to 170 off of 2 really solid wins. I like the win that he's got over OAM. I love the win that he had over Mike Davis. Now, Mike Davis is still pretty much a newcomer to the UFC, but he is still a guy who I think is going to win fights in the UFC. I really do. But we all know what skills he possesses, and that is great jiu-jitsu with oncoming striking. His striking's got better since he's been with Henry Hooft. Since he's been with him, he's really exponentially, his game's got a lot better, and I'm quite happy that that's coming through, because we all know his jiu-jitsu is very solid, very good, and he can catch you down there. When he's got Alexei Kunchenko here, who, solid's a good word, I think, for Alexei Kunchenko, like really solid. 20-0, hasn't lost, 2-0 in the UFC, close win over Thiago Alves, and in the second fight, he was so good again. Not super good against Yushin Okami, but just his normal kind of calm self. Doesn't really look to kind of outpush the pace too much. He will do what he can to really win the fight, and that's kind of what he's all about. But I think he's going to be like the smaller guy size-wise in this one here. I think Burns is like 5'10", I want to say, but he's a solid 170, like a thick 170 set guy. So interested to see that. Like I say, he doesn't really push himself outside like too much, to be honest with you, but with his striking's very decent. I think he can tie up Gilbert Burns. I don't think he really wants to go to the ground with a guy like Gilbert Burns, if I'm being honest with you, but I do think that he has got enough to win this fight here. I think he's going to maybe like kind of bear hug him to death, maybe put him up against the cage, dirty box him a little bit, and win the rounds close. But I'm interested to see Gilbert Burns 170. It's a big week for that family, if we're being honest, because Herbert Burns fights in the Dana White Contender Series tomorrow, his brother, so that's interesting to me. But my initial gut feeling when I heard about this fight was Alexei Kunchenko to win via decision. I'm going to stick with that. So yeah, moving on, women's flyweight division, Veronica Macedo against Polyana Viana. Seen a lot of people super confident here in Polyana Viana, and I'm like, where she's bet up to like -210. I'm like, -210? I'm like, I'm a little bit wary of that number, especially. Now, I can see why they are. Macedo's 0-3 in the UFC. She's 5-3, I think her record is. She was rushed into the UFC, in my opinion, far too quickly at 5-0. She came in at the wrong division, obviously 135. There was no 125 division at that point. And from there, she's lost her 3 fights against fairly decent opposition, I will say. Ashley Evans-Smith, so-so. Andrea Lee's turned herself into a really good fighter who's got Joanne Calderwood come up in Abu Dhabi. She could really put herself in that top 5 of that division very, very easily if she's not already. And Gillian Robertson was the last one who beat her. And like her nickname says, she's a savage. She is really good. She's kill or be killed. She will finish you or she will be finished. And I like fighters like that. She's a black belt Taekwondo, brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu, brown belt in Karate. I still don't think we've seen the best of her. She's like 23 years old. The one thing that I've never really liked with Veronica Macedo, she bounces from gym to gym, different gyms a lot. She could be anywhere in the world and she'll be in different gyms. She's never really held down a place all that much. And I think she's got Fernand Lopez, the head coach of Francis Ngannou, in her corner for this one. She's been more, I think, in France a little bit. He will be in the corner of Ciryl Gane, who fights in this card as well. And yeah, I think she's a solid fighter. I just think she was rushed. She actually fought in the same card as my co-host, John of the MMA Huddle, on the same card way back before. I think it was when she landed that head kick that went viral, way back ago. And yeah, like I say, she was rushed into the UFC in my opinion. But now she's in there, last chance saloon here. And Polyana Viana, I think she fought a very close fight against Hannah Cifers. I did think Hannah Cifers deserved to win that fight. I thought she countered very well with some nice knees up the middle, some nice body kicks. She put some nice combination striking together. But she got dropped by Hannah Cifers, who is a little kind of spitfire. She comes forward, she fires at will. She never kind of really takes a back step all too much. Viana really flopped to her back a couple of times, which was a little bit, I wasn't really sure about that. And that's something she might do here, is she might go to the ground and really try and use her jiu-jitsu. But I think, like I said, I'm not sure her jiu-jitsu is on a hugely different level than what Macedo's is. Now, Macedo's been submitted a couple of times, or she was the last time, I should say. But I think she's decent in the ground. I think both these girls are very, very close in kind of skill set, if I'm being honest with you. I think that they're not, I think both of them actually were probably rushed into UFC a little bit too quick, in my opinion. But when I see a betting line at -210 on Viana, I'm like, it makes me want to bet Macedo, and I really shouldn't bet Macedo because, like I say, she's 0-3. She's still very, very young in her career and still super, super green. She's not established herself as a fighter at all. But I like her in this one. I'm going to not really like her as in confident pick-wise, but I'm going to take her in this one to win the fight via decision. I think that she can hold her own on the ground. I think on the feet, I think she uses more weapons than what Viana does with kicks and so on. But it is a tough one to be super confident in this one. But I would rather take a shot on Veronica Macedo, in my opinion. So I'll take her to win a decision in that one, which is a little bit ropey, but I'll take a shot on her. Why not? Lightweight division, we've got Alex de Silva against Rodrigo, I forgot his name now, Vargas, sorry. Looking at it there, I've completely was looking at the wrong place, but watched Rodrigo Vargas early this morning before I attempted to make these videos 4 times over, and my computer's just been a complete dick. But yeah, solid, tough, durable Mexican fighter. Most of his wins are via knockout. He's going to engage in a brawl here, and I think he's just got less weapons in this fight. De Silva, he made his debut against Alexander Yakovlev. That's a tough fight. He is a crafty vet himself in Russia, and he got submitted in the second round. I don't think he managed to show all his skill set there. Where you look at Alex de Silva outside the UFC, very fast hands, very fast combinations. He's got a lot of head kicks there. Very kind of hard-nosed striker as well. Throws a lot of heat. I think this is going to play right in his wheelhouse, having a hard-nosed Mexican coming at him and engaging in the brawl. And I just think he's got too many weapons for me. So I'm going to pick De Silva to beat Vargas via TKO in the first 2 rounds there. Kind of thinking about maybe parlaying him up, but I'm not super sure. I've got a parlay in mind for this card, but I'm still not sure. I've only got the 1 bet so far, but we'll see how that goes. But I've got Alex de Silva in the first 2 rounds via TKO there. This is a good match. Bantamweight division. Geraldo Spartan de Freitas against Cris El Guapo Gutierrez. I was really impressed with Geraldo de Freitas in his UFC debut against Felipe Colares. I thought that he was that fight is a little bit weird to listen to if you listen to it with the commentary on with Michael Bisping, because he was pissed because he was lighting up Colares on the feet and he was really letting go on the feet, but then he would dive in for takedowns and take the fight to the ground. Now, the takedowns were there all day in that fight, so I can understand why he did it. And yeah, I think it was 5 or 6 takedowns. He passed guard at will. I just think he wanted that UFC win in the court. He just wanted to get it no matter the safest way possible, and he got the win there against Colares. Gutierrez, I thought he should have finished that Ryan McDonald in his last fight. I think he's got a lot of good weapons, but I'm not too sure about his kind of fight IQ. Now, he comes from a wrestling background, I believe, from what I've heard and so on. And shout out to Chris Gutierrez, by the way, because he's trying to get sole custody of his kid, who he's not seen in months. I watched the James Lynch interview, and that was a little bit sad to see, being a father myself, and couldn't imagine being without my daughter, and he can't see his kid. But as a fighter, shows a lot of tails. He's got a lot of those where he feints with his hips, so he's gonna, when he's going to throw a lot of spinning attacks. Doesn't overly grapple that much. I think he can do it. Seen him taken down. Ione Barcelos took him down fairly comfortably in their fights, but Barcelos, in my opinion, is a beast, and he's a really, really good, solid fighter. But in the McDonald fight, he used leg kicks very well, but that McDonald wasn't thrown back. He was getting nothing back from him, and he really busted that kid up. I thought he should have got him out of there. How I see this fight going, I think this is going to be more of a stand-up fight, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that maybe Gutierrez kind of got more overall weapons with his striking, but I think the better striker, the counter striker, maybe the faster striker is actually De Freitas, and I think he can mix it up a little more. I think he can hold on to Gutierrez. I think he can get the takedowns. Whether he keeps in there is another thing. He did it against Colares, but Colares, like I say, he did get back to his feet a few times. I got De Freitas. I actually bet him early yesterday morning it would be now, and he was plus 120, and I thought, right, he's going to stay an underdog majority of the week, but I thought, I like 120, I think it's a good number. It might float between 130, 110 in that range. So I bet him, came back in late last night, about 8 hours after I looked at the betting odds, and he was a favourite, and he's still a favourite, which surprised me big time. So hopefully I don't kind of mess out. Hopefully I think that line will kind of go between him being a favourite to him being a dog. I can maybe see it being a pick'em by fight time, but somebody's laid a big bet down on De Freitas in this spot. So somebody's seen something that they really, really like, and they're betting him, and it's changed the betting odds pretty substantially. But I like him to kind of mix up a little bit more and win a decision here. So I've got Geraldo De Freitas there. This is another good match. Flyweight division, Rogerio Bontorin against Raulian and Paiva. Two newcomers from the last fight who one lost, one won. We had Paiva who lost to Kai Kara France, who initially, when I was watching live, I thought he won that fight. Went back and watched, and then I thought Kai Kara France actually did win, and it was kind of weird because I bet in Kai Kara and I thought I'd lost that bet. But I like what I've seen from Paiva, very long flyweight, looks for the takedown. He didn't get any against Kai Kara France, and what was concerning is the fact that Kai Kara France got some reactive takedowns on him. But he was busting up Kai Kara France a little bit. He was going to the body really, really nice. But like I say, he was trying to get that takedown. He just could not get it. Yeah, like I said, I was impressed with his UFC debut, even though he lost. And then you move over to Rogerio Bontorin, who is a guy I loved his fights before he went to the UFCs. His only losses to Michinori Tanaka, who's a former UFC veteran, tough-nosed, hard-nosed guy. He lost in the third round there, but I watched his fight in Pancrase, his fight in Brave against John Oliver. Good fighter. He looks a good fighter to me. Bibulatov is a hard guy to come in and face in your UFC debut, because you know you're going to get a guy who's going to grapple you. He's going to engage with you. He got taken down, I think, 3-4 times. He got a takedown or two on Bibulatov. Started off very slow. As the fight kind of progressed, he really came into his own and made the fight very close to where the fact that he got the nod by the judges, which was, in my opinion, I think it was the right decision. And I bet Bibulatov in that spot. I parlayed him up. I can't remember what the price was, but I thought I lost that bet when it went to the judges' scorecard, and it was in Brazil, which helped as well. So yeah, this is a bet, a fight I'm actually kind of looking to bet on. Actually, I think I've got a good read on Bontorin. I hope I have. But I do like Paiva, so maybe it's one of those fights I should stay well away, just enjoy as a fan. But I think it's -110 apiece now, so it's like a pick 'em fight, pretty much where I expect it to be. But I've got Bontorin to win, maybe by a submission. If not a submission, a close decision. So I've got Bontorin for the win there. Women's strawweight division, Tecia Torres against Marina Rodriguez. Big fight this for Tecia Torres. If she goes 0-4 in her last 4 fights, I mean, that's pretty much a big fall from grace. But when you look at who she's lost to, champions and potential champions going forward. So she lost to Weili Zhang last time out, where she just she couldn't handle the pressure and the striking of Weili Zhang, who also got a couple of takedowns in that fight, which kind of surprised me a little bit because I didn't expect that. Then you look at Joanna Jędrzejczyk, just got out-volumed. It was the kind of... She was just kind of second best in that fight for the majority of it. And then Jessica Andrade just really mixed it up very well against her. So she's losing to good fighters. Now, Marina Rodriguez, I don't think is in the level of that, but what she is, she's very dangerous. She's super aggressive. She uses like her 8 points of attack from elbows, knees, especially knees. She'll try and get you in the clinch, and that's what she did against Jessica Aguilar. She like unloaded some humongous knees in that fight and really hurt her, busted her up pretty bad. And like it's a tough fight, but she took a lot of damage. And Jessica Aguilar is not a good striker at all, but she landed and she busted up her eye a little bit. But she won fairly convincingly, even though she had a point deduction in that first round for eye pokes. To me here, I think I like Tecia Torres. I think that she's fast on the feet. She's definitely going to be the faster fighter here, where the bigger punching power is going to come from Rodriguez. Hitting power is coming from Rodriguez. I think that Torres can mix it up. I think she can be in and out a little bit more than what Rodriguez is, and I think she can use the pressure of Rodriguez coming forward to potentially get takedowns. Now, do I see Rodriguez staying there? Maybe for some parts of the fight, yes. But I think Tecia Torres is just the better fighter here, and she wants this more. I can tell by just looking at her social media, watching some interviews, she really needs this win here. So I'll go Tecia Torres via decision. That was another bet I was kind of looking at. I don't know what the odds were. I think it was -140 when I seen it. Apologies, guys. But yeah, I like Tecia Torres in that spot to win via decision there, so I'll take her there. 2 new heavyweights into the UFC here. Ciryl Gane faces off against Raphael Piazzo. And I'm not sure about this French guy coming in. Now, I've watched his fights. You go on UFC Fight Pass, put in his name, you'll see him defending his his TKO heavyweight championship against Adam Deichka. There was a Brazilian guy as well whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, 3-0, getting signed to the UFC. I can see why. They always need heavyweights. It's no doubt about that. But he's got good striking, very long, very quick, bouncy on his feet, lots of movement. In that fight with Deichka, it started to really fade at the end of that first round as he went into second. But he was busting that guy up. That guy took a lot of punishment, took a lot of hits to the chin, to the midriff there. He took a lot of damage, and like he throws weird strikes as well, like donkey, like double punches, and like on the ground he'll be throwing like a big hammer fist. He'll put his hands together and he's hitting you and all that shit. So it's like I can see why they got him. 29 years old is a heavyweight. That's a good age to get them in. But he's super inexperienced in 3-0. I think he was only 12-0 as a Muay Thai fighter as well. But loads of people are super high in this one, and obviously the betting line's -425, so people are betting him into oblivion. I'm not too sure. Maybe not in this spot, but going forward, I don't know. This Pessoa, there's not much tape out there on him. I watched like 2, maybe 3 fights, and he swings bomb. He's wide open for getting countered because he just swings windmills and he looks to chin check you every time. He fought in LFA last time out and fought this big dude who was just so slow and so hittable. Yeah, I'm gonna, like I say, I was thinking to myself, did I take a shot in this Raphael Pessoa guy? I'm like, because I'm not too sure about the Ciryl guy, but then I thought to myself, right, he's -425 for a reason. You can see that he's got skills. He has got skills. I'm not saying he hasn't, but yeah, I'm going to pick him in this one via maybe TKO. I think he maybe counters this guy at some point in the fight and puts him down. But like I say, I'm not too sure. I think it's a little bit early in his to be signed to the UFC. But like I say, they always need heavyweights. But I'll pick Ciryl Gane via TKO at some point in this fight. At the end of the first, maybe early second round. Moving on to the main card in the featherweight division, we've got Enrique Barzola against Bobby Moffett. This is a good fight, I think. I've always been a fan of Barzola. I think he's a really good grappler, really good wrestler. Where I think that Bobby Moffett's a really good scrambler. I think he's got some good wrestling himself. Not being super impressed with him. I don't think his striking's all that great. But I think, like I say, I think he scrambles really well and he fights really, really hard. Barzola, to me, is a really good wrestler. But I still think he's got a long way to go with his striking. I think he's got a long way to go just with his overall game. Like I say, when you come from a country like Peru, you're going to have times where, not times where you don't see the big jumps in his skill, but I think since his inception at the UFC, we've seen him kind of grow exponentially. And this one, to me, I think is going to be a kind of more of a wrestling, kind of grappling-based fighter, but based fight, where he has to be careful with Bobby Moffett's submissions because he has got some pretty nifty submissions in there. When it comes to striking, I think Barzola, even though he's not great, I think he's got some leg kicks. He varies his striking a little bit more than what Bobby Moffett is. Bobby Moffett's moved to a new camp for this one because Eddie Chaz left the lab. He's went over to Fight Ready, like a whole host of other people from the MMA lab there. So, and I'm interested to see this is his first, I think, trip down to South America. I see this being kind of close, but I am pretty confident in that Barzola can get a kind of wrestling-based decision. On the feet, I think he will have more output than what Bobby Moffett will. I think he's got a better gas tank than what Bobby Moffett has. So ultimately, I'm going to go Enrique Barzola via decision in that one there. Middleweight division, the debut of Rodolfo Vieira against Oskar Piechota. This Vieira guy is really good. I'd heard about him years ago through the jiu-jitsu scene, and I watched his fight with Piechota. I think it was 2012-13, and I watched that jiu-jitsu match, and it's such a good match. A very well decorated jiu-jitsu guy. He kind of reminds me of Damian Maia. He's Damian Maia-esque, where you know where he wants to take the fight, but once he gets there, it's like a hot knife going through butter. It just slides into new positions. Like, he's very explosive in the movements to transition into better positions and look for his jiu-jitsu there. His striking is not great. I don't think his hands are that good, but he's got heavy leg kicks. He looks in great shape. The only thing that's kind of worrying me is the fact that he's having to drop like 27 pounds this fight week to get down there, but he says that's normal for him. So if that's normal for him, then so be it. But he is going to, you know what he wants to do. He wants to grab those double legs. He wants to get you to the ground, and he wants to transition to getting into full mount, getting into back mount, and try and get that submission, and usually finds that he's seamless in his movements from that. And he is going to... People are going to really find out how this guy fights very, very quickly, I think. But this is a good fight against Piechota here, who's not the worst guy on the ground either. I think he's an ADCC Jiu-Jitsu champion in Europe, but there's a big difference from what he's did in the Jiu-Jitsu world to what someone like Rodolfo Vieira has done, who is just, in my opinion, a beast on the ground, absolute beast, who's got a skill set that if he gets it there one time, it could be it. Now, on the feet, I worry about it because Pessoa should have the advantage there. I thought he was going to be a little bit better. I thought he was going to be one of these like Krzysztof Jotko from like 3-4 years ago, where he was coming through and people didn't really know him, but then he lost to Jeremiah short in that one there, and he's coming off a pretty big injury. I think he busted up his arm in that fight, his last fight which he had. I just think that once Vieira gets this fight to the ground, he's going to like spend the majority of the fight there and be very, very dominant. So I've got Rodolfo Vieira to win via submission in the first 2 rounds. I think he will just find a way to get this fight to the ground, and once he gets it there, I think it's good night Oskar pretty much. So Vieira versus submission, via submission I should say. Light heavyweight division, Volkan, no time Oezdemir against Ilir Latifi. I've never been the biggest fan of Volkan Oezdemir. Loads of people are pretty high on him. I think it was those quick knockouts where he was just pinging guys' head off, and with the first shot he was landing like Misha Sarkinov and Jimmy Manawa. Went after Daniel Cormier a little bit, but then really got kind of ragdoll into oblivion in that fight. And I think I'm starting to come around on him. I felt a little bit, I thought he was a little bit unlucky against Dominic Reyes actually, and I bet on Reyes. I thought I lost that. there, but again came through, very, very close decision. It was, when I went back and watched it, it was a fight that really could have went either way, but I thought Volkan must have felt a little bit unfortunate in that kind of situation. He's got those visa troubles, so he can't travel to America to train, so he's been out in Thailand, I think, with Alistair Overeem, Sergey Karatonov, but the guy's got big power. And I think he's talking about moving to heavyweight, so he's a big lump of a dude as well. Latifi is a very dangerous guy, dangerous choke game like he showed against OSP. He's got wrestling, but I think he's starting to really, not deteriorate a little bit, I think he's slowly starting to decline, just a little bit. And I think Volkan can find the chin of this guy, but he needs to do it in the first, I don't know, I was going to say he's going to do it in the first couple of rounds, but I don't think he has to do it in the first couple of rounds. I think he just has to be the aggressor in this fight, not get kind of held up by Latifi, because Latifi, if he can get those big arms around you, he will try and get you to the ground through off that. But I'm more confident actually in Volkan Oezdemir here, and I was thinking to myself, is he a potential bet? And I was like, if the line gets to a certain number, then maybe, because I think he's got knockout, he's got a chance of a knockout. I think he's a little bit more, I think he is pretty durable if he's not getting ragged all about and losing all his energy through that. So yeah, I think he's got a good chance to win this fight. I'm actually going to pick him via knockout in the first round. I think he catches Latifi and puts him to sleep. So Volkan, no time Oezdemir for the win there. Holy shit, this fight. Luiz Garagorri against Humberto Bandenay. I mean, whoa, I was watching some of the fights of Garagorri over the weekend there, and it's like, there's a fight against Raphael. This guy's like 36 years old, and it looks like he's just literally been pulled out the street. I'm looking at the now, and you say, look, dude, you're fighting this dude. Comes forward, hasn't got a fucking clue what he's doing, gets taken down, gets submitted, and just looks horrific. So the Uruguay regional scene must be really kind of bad. It doesn't look a good scene. Looking at other fighters I thought could move in to the UFC here, but then he's facing Humberto Bandenay, and I'm like, shit, he's facing Humberto Bandenay. He's got a legit chance of winning this fight here. What I will say for Bandenay is that he's got UFC experience. He's not fighting at home, so all the pressure's on his opponent. But Bandenay ain't good. Like, ain't good at all. And I'm like, am I really going to pick Humberto Bandenay? And I think I am in this spot, and I feel shit in doing it. But this was the same last week with Mickey Gall. It was the same with Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I felt really kind of bad in picking these guys because I thought that they're not good. They're super green. And he got dominated by Austin fucking Arnett in his last fight in Argentina, and he looked dog shit. Like, he did not look good at all. But when I watched this Garagorri, the only reason he's on this card, he's undefeated, I'll say that, but it is in Uruguay. They're looking for that hometown guy that's going to come in here and fight. And he looks tough. He should beat someone like Bandenay, but I don't think I can pick this Garagorri guy. So this is probably going to be a stupid pick on my part. It's a least confident pick, but I'd rather take a shot on Bandenay, who I know has got experience. He's got a UFC win under his belt. He knows what it's like under the big lights, and more of the pressure's on his opponent. So I'm going to pick Bandenay to win this fight, and I'm like, I feel like I should be getting a knife and just like going straight into my neck at the minute, because picking Humberto Bandenay is just a recipe for disaster. But I'm going to pick him. Co-main event, Violence, Vicente Luque, Platinum Mike Perry. Ooh, this is a good co-main, man. This is a really good co-main event. Really interesting, because we know what Mike Perry wants to do. That guy just wants to swing bombs. Fuck everything else. He doesn't want to get taken down. He's got pretty low fight IQ anyway, so he will take fights to the ground like he did against Cerrone, which is just stupidity. But when he's on, he is on, and he's a tough fighter. If you engage in a brawl with this guy, then you're dicing with disaster a little bit, and that's what Vicente Luque has to be careful with, because the one fight I didn't like that with was the Barbarena fight, where he absorbed so many shots and was taking unnecessary risks, and then he went into that fight with the Derek Krantz, and he got dropped, I think, or he got taken down. He came through, he won the fight pretty easily, and you kind of expect him to do that, but he can't come out here and engage in a brawl. He's the far more technical fighter, the better technician, the better guy on the ground. He's got more weapons than what Perry has, but Perry's so durable and he's got so much heart. And if you give him an opening in this fight, that dude's going to be on you, and he cannot do that in this spot. Now, Perry's coming off a really nice win over Oliveira, who's kind of not similar to Vicente Luque. He's not as kind of polished as what Luque is, but he's got big power. He's very dangerous with his submissions, but he also maybe fights a little bit stupidly sometimes. And yeah, Luque, in my opinion, only loses this fight if he engages in a brawl with Mike Perry. If he engages in any way, like I think he could piece apart Mike Perry, because I think he's faster, he's got better technical shots, a beautiful jab, and he follows that up with nice attacks to the body, low kicks, you name it. Good counter strike as well. He is the far superior fighter. Just don't engage with Platinum Mike Perry, because that's just a recipe for disaster. So I think you can see where I'm going with this one. I'm going to pick Vicente Luque. I think if he was to take it to the ground, which would be smart, he'll submit this guy. He will find a way to submit him. And he might not even have to take him to the ground, because Mike Perry might come in and just shoot for a takedown on him. So just don't engage in a brawl here, and he wins this fight, in my opinion. So I've got Vicente Luque. I'm going to pick him via submission in the late part of this fight. So yeah. But he might have to overcome some shit in this to get this win here, but I'll take him in that one there. And the main event of the night, we've got a rematch from like 10 years ago. Crazy. Valentina Shevchenko against Liz Carmouche. Now, that fight was called due to a cut, I believe it was. And from what I'm hearing, and that's just kind of from a few people that were in at that fight, and it's just they came online. I think there was a couple of bigger fight guys. I don't know where that was. It was ages ago. But Shevchenko was in the ascendant in that fight, and she was winning before. I think it was an up kick, caught her in the eyelid, busted her eyelid, and the ref or the doctor called the fight off, which fair enough. But I find it hard to pick Liz Carmouche in this spot. Like minus 800, plus 800 underdogs. You don't see too many of them coming through. And I was thinking, right, what's our game plan going to be? Sometimes Valentina can sit back and give you an opportunity to come into the fight, but she's usually winning. She's landing strikes, and she is dangerous. If she sets up the right shots, like she did against that brutal knockout against Jessica, where she set up her high kick beautifully and knocked her dead, she's got a lot of weapons at her disposal, has Valentina Shevchenko. One of the things actually from the weekend there was Antonina. I always forget about their ground game. These girls obviously work their ground games a lot, because she jumped on that armbar against Lucy Pudilova very quickly. You saw that with Valentina against Juliana Pena, I think it was, a while back. So those girls obviously work on the strikers first, but they've obviously got jiu-jitsu and something they obviously work on quite a bit. Now, I think she's got that there. When I look at Liz Carmouche, I think she wants to wrestle this fight. She wants to try and put Valentina on the ground. I think as a striker, she's very kind of... Her shots are very predictable. You can see them coming very slow. Valentina should be able to pick her apart. She probably will pick her apart. So, obviously for me, Carmouche's game plan is to come in here and try and out-muscle her, use that strength, try and take her down, body lock takedowns, trips, and try and find a way into a decent position on the ground. But you cannot underestimate Valentina on the ground either. So, yeah, that's how I give Liz Carmouche a chance, is maybe catch her with a shot, stumble a little bit, get a body lock, establish on the ground. But apart from that, I just struggle to see her really coming through and winning in this fight. So I'm going to pick Valentina. I think it could be a boring kind of 5-round decision where she picks her on the outside. Carmouche really gets kind of frustrated that she's not landing much, and come forward, she gets countered very easily. So yeah, I've got Valentina to win via decision in that one there. So yeah, that's my picks. Hopefully this is okay on the phone here. Everything looks okay. I've had about 40 guys in here, which is pretty awesome. I've never really seen that when I've did it on the computer before, so I appreciate that. People have given me some likes, which is always nice. I really appreciate that. If anybody wants to throw a late like on this one before I take the video down, I'd much appreciate it. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to see about getting a webcam. If not, I actually quite like this setup, so it might be something I do going forward. And I'll maybe see if I can get the chat working, because I don't think it is. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. What I will say is there's a few guys I want to thank. There's Andy, Trent out there. There's John. They all messaged me over the weekend saying my picks helped win them some money. And see, when I hear that I can help in just one little way, to maybe win somebody some money. There was £800, there was $500, there was $600. That's a lot of money, and for me to say that I helped those guys win some money off some of my picks, it's so awesome to hear. So appreciate that. Hope you win all this weekend. My DM's open on Twitter. I might not get back to you straight away, but I will as soon as I can. Until then, enjoy the fights this week. We're back for UFC 241 next week. So yeah, thanks guys.